guys, welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny, and as always I am really happy that you've chosen to spend a little bit of time with me today. I have a lot to talk about. First of all, I feel like my hair is a little weird. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my hair. Today I am wearing one of the outfits that I talked to you guys about last week. This is Tina Gibbons' Elope, and it is today cool enough for the first time in ages for me to wear a shirt with sleeves on it, so I am wearing one. So I was telling you guys about this last week. I made this in, I think this is a rayon double gauze. Although it's a weird fabric, I've never really seen it exactly like this before, and I'm kind of guessing there. Anyways, I'll show you a picture of it here. This Elope top usually has like, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 big pleats at the cuff of the sleeve, and I forewent the pleats and just put a wide, not like super wide, like an inch wide elastic in there. It's still loose, and the elastic is a little bit heavy for this fabric, but I actually kind of like the way that is because it makes it drape really nicely. And I put the elastic in my cuff the same way I put it in the waistband of my pants. You guys might remember the way I showed you guys that in a video before, and if I can remember, I'll link for that below. The other thing I did, I eliminated the pocket, and just because, once again, I'm working with stripes, and I really didn't want to deal with trying to figure out making sure my stripes looked nice on a pocket. I also did not hem this as usual. I put a facing on the whole thing, and it's about 2 inches wide finished. And I did that because I noticed when I was binding my neckline, this fabric, because it's a pretty loose weave, it gets stretched out of shape really easily. So instead of trying to deal with that on the hem, I had extra fabric. I just cut a facing and put that on there, and I actually really like the way that looks. Again, adds a little weight to the bottom of the hem because it's a nice deep facing, and so it drapes really nicely. And the picture I'm showing you here, I'm wearing this with a ready-to-wear, like, rayon, I guess, slip, and I'm wearing it with my Zelda bloomers, which I cropped a little bit short. I gave them a 2-inch hem, and I didn't do anything else. So no ruffles, no pleats, no gathers, no tucks, no nothing. They're just cut straight from the Zelda pattern and hemmed. Yeah, and I really like this outfit. Like I said, it's actually been too warm for me to wear anything with sleeves for a while, but today it's a little bit cooler, probably because it's been raining for days on end. Yeah, so really happy with this make. I like it a lot. I will say, I think that the Elope is one of my favorite Tina Gibbons tops. I have a hard time finding tops in general to go with the style that I like. I feel like a lot of times they're either too tailored or they're just not the right shape. So I'm always looking for tops. Tina does have a few tops that really work, but for Tina, I really like the pants, and I love the slips and a lot of the dresses. The tops, I just feel like she doesn't have that many. So I'm always looking at other places. If you guys have any suggestions for some log and look sort of tops that are out of the ordinary, leave me a message below. I've talked about it before. I have like some simplicity patterns and some Vogue patterns and some others that would be good, but I'm always looking for new ones. So the other thing I made this week was a pair of the Orguignard, I never say her name right, and I am so sorry. Her Hill Tribe sorrel pants. You guys might remember I made these pants in a rust colored silk a couple of months ago. I'm pretty sure I showed them here. Anyways, this time I made them out of a heavier weight linen. It's not super heavy, but it's definitely heavier than the silk, and it feels like it has like a little spandex in it. The only thing I changed about this pattern this time was instead of using the pocket that she has, which is like a gathered pocket that sits on top of the pant, it's not quite a patch pocket because it does get sewn into one of the seams, but most of it is like a patch pocket, so it just sits on top of the pant. And because of that, and that fact that my fabric was a little bit heavier, I was afraid it would be too bulky under there, particularly because I really almost always wear like tunics or long tops. So this time I just used my Diane Ericson just pockets pattern for the window pocket that I did last week on my Oprah pants. And I put that in these pants instead. And I have to tell you guys, I really love these pants. I think they're super cute and they're really comfortable. And yeah, I really want to make another pair now. I really love them. So they're also super easy to make because the front is cut on the fold and the back is cut on the fold. So you have two side seams, but they're not on the sides. They actually sit at the front. And then you have a crotch seam that goes in between the two. And that's really it, except for your waistband and your pockets. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so I'm showing you a picture of it right here, these pants, and I am wearing them, in this picture, I'm wearing them with a modified Tina Gibbons feather tunic. The feather usually has a cutout in the front, which I clearly didn't do, and it also has ruffles, which I also didn't do. So it's heavily modified. It's just the shape, really. Okay. Also, this week, I made a Tina Gibbons violet for the first time. I really like this dress. I don't know why I hadn't made it before. I've had the pattern for a long time, and I always really like it. I've seen a few of them online, and I always think they're really cute. But last week when I was at work, I found this really cute cotton voile, and then I found a white cotton eyelet that I thought would be really cute with it. So since I had those two, what I didn't want to, the violet has a center panel that's like long and then cut horizontally into sections. But I didn't really want to do that because I wanted to use the whole width of my eyelet so I could have the, you know, the little trim at the top and at the bottom. Anyways, you'll see pictures here in a minute. But so I just redrafted that center panel to be one piece. And I'll just show you really quickly here how I did that. I'm not going to show you how I put it together because the rest of it is really just put together the way the rest of the pattern is. Okay, this is our original violet front. And normally you would be putting the center pieces in here and then gathering this up. So what I did first was mark the center front on this, and I just used the back piece to measure roughly where the center front was. You can see I've added about 1.5 inches, but just check to see how wide you want the front to be. So that's my center front, and we don't really need that for anything else. Over here at this point where the curve ends, I just extended this line in a straight line to the hem. And then all along this edge, I've added a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So that's my 5/8 inch seam allowance all the way down. Now, we're just going to put a piece of tissue paper over this. And we don't need to trace anything else. What we need to trace is I'm going to place my paper on the center front line. So it's in a straight line like that. And I'm just going to hold that down with a couple of weights. And all I'm going to do, all I'm tracing is this dark black line, which is my 5/8 inch seam allowance. This is where our seam, when we sew our panel in, this is where the seam will actually be. And I am going to mark the hem off here too, so my panel is the same length as the rest of my dress. And the other thing I'm going to do is, you can see here, this is the neckline here. It would, you know, presumably continue around something like that. I'm not going to cut it like that. I'm actually just going to cut this. I think I'll just cut this like this and give myself some extra fabric here. And that way we can figure out our neckline later. Now, we're just going to cut out this piece. As far as this piece goes, when we go to cut this, we're going to fold this over, not at the center front, but way over here at this line. So now we're going to cut 2 of these pieces. Two pieces that look like this, and 1 center front panel. Before we cut our center front panel, we need to add a seam allowance to this, because remember, this is where our seam is going to be. So now we're going to add 5/8 of an inch to that edge. Now we're going to cut that out. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark this before I forget, because I almost did. We're going to cut this 1 center panel on the fold. Now we're just going to sew this center panel to both of the front pieces, the front sides. So this is my right front side, my center panel, and I have them pinned all along this edge. And I'm just going to sew straight along here and then finish that edge, and then flip it over and sew the other side on. This pattern has a curve to it, so just be careful when you're pinning it in that you're pinning it in evenly. Instead of like straight, you're going to have a little curve to both pieces. So in order to get that to lay flat, you may need to clip into those. I didn't need to, but just so you know, there's a curve there. So there's our center panel sewn in. I am going to do some top stitching along this edge to hold that seam allowance down. I'm going to wait though, because you can see here I have this eyelet with this trim, this edge that I wanted to preserve. So for this edge over here, my shoulder edges, I'm going to bind this, or maybe just fold it under. I'm not sure yet. And then I will do this top stitching down here once I finish that. Everything else about this, we're just going to sew exactly the way the pattern says to sew. Yeah, so that's my violet. And then once I got it together, I put it on, and I put 2 rows of elastic ruching right here at the neckline, right under the edge of my eyelet ruffle kind of thing. I put 2 rows of stitching there really close together with the elastic in my bobbin. And then I put 3 rows of stitching with that same ruching elastic in the back, and I did not put it, there's a mark on the pattern that says where to put the gathers. I did not use that. I just actually put the dress on and sort of marked lengthwise where I wanted it to hit, sort of towards the small of my back. And then I took it off and marked the center of the back, and I made my ruching go 3 inches on either side of that stitching line, so it was 6 inches worth of stitching, and I did that 3 times, about 1/2 inch apart each. I hope that makes sense. And then I probably told you guys this before, but you know how I always say to like steam your elastic after you've sewn it, it'll make it shrink up. That is especially true when you use the ruching elastic in your bobbin. It really shrinks up a lot, for me anyways, if you steam it after you're done sewing it. Anyways, that was my big hack. I know, not much really of a hack, but that was my big Tina Gibbons hack for the week. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the sewing, you guys. I have been working on a lot of alterations for a friend of mine and for my husband, and I think that's really, yeah, so my sewing's, a lot of my sewing time has been taken up with that. But I do have a couple of other things I wanted to tell you about. First of all, I have been listening to this podcast lately called, let me make sure I get it, it is called the Asian Sewing Collective. They just finished their first season, and I want to say, I think the last episode of their first season was last Thursday. I'm not sure about that, but it was last week one day, and I listened to it. The whole episode was about size inclusivity, and they they interviewed this woman, and again, I'm going to butcher the name, so my apologies, but I think it's Layla Kelleher. She's one of the designers from Muna and Broad, and if you haven't already looked at their pictures, their patterns, I'm going to link to the Muna and Broad website below. They do really nice patterns, and the interview was really, really good. So I'm going to link to that podcast below too. I think, you know, if you're into podcasts, you'll want to check that out. It was a good one. They also had other episodes during the season that were also good. I can't remember. They had an episode on silk, and they had an episode on bag making, and they had an episode on quilting and on cultural appropriation in sewing. I like that they do some really pattern testing, mental health. I like that they mixed up like the sewing stuff with some more like culturally difficult topics. But I think that they do a really good job. It's very interesting. Okay. What else? I got 2 new books this week. One of them is not a new book. It is the Complete Book of Sewing Shortcuts by Claire Schaefer. I got this at the used bookstore not far from my house, and it's really good. She has some really good tips in here. I don't think I troll sewing books on Amazon all the time, and so I feel like I've seen them all at least once. I don't think I've ever seen this one. Yeah, for $8, I was pretty happy because she does have a lot of really good tips and stuff in here. And I will definitely be using this. I think that this is, let's see, copyright 2001. So maybe that's why I've never seen it, because I seem to always be looking at books that are much older than that. Or much newer. Anyways, it's a really good book. If you happen to come across it, you should pick it up. The other one I just recently got is another Wendy Ward book. I think I've told you about her books before. I think this is her 3rd. Those are 4th. So I think I'm missing one of them. Missing the knit one. Anyways, I really like her books, especially if you happen to be newer to sewing or not, or just have not sewn a lot of clothes. Her instructions are really good, and she has really basic shapes, but she does a really good job making them interesting. This one is How to Sew Sustainably. It is about recycling, reusing, and remaking with fabric. She also has a couple of things in here that I think would count as zero waste kind of designs. She has some very cool, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this, but she has some very cool mixed pattern things. You can see here on the back, she has a really cool robe. This dress thing here, she shows a variety of different options, like a top, a dress, a bunch of other stuff. And this guy right here is wearing a really cool pair of pants. I'm going to see if I can find that picture in here so you can see what they look like. She also has a couple of bags in here. Yeah, these are things that like anybody can make, and I feel like they're just, yeah, I feel like they're really cool. I think you can kind of see, okay, there's the pants. And then here is an up-close picture of the little tiny line drawing of the pants. I don't know if that's going to focus, but there we go. Yeah, anyways, really, really cool book. Like I said, I think this one is pretty new. It says $19.99 US, and I did not get this one from Amazon. I think I got it from, oh no, maybe I did. Or I got it from Better World Books, maybe. I can't remember. Anyways, I think I did pay about 20 bucks for it. Really cool. It says it includes instructions for 20 customizable projects to help you start sewing sustainably. Even if you don't make any of these projects, I feel like she's got some really good ideas in here. She has a bag in here I kind of want to make. And a top. Anyways. Alright guys, I think that is it for me today. As always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for spending time with me. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. Share it with your sewing friends, whatever you want to do. I really appreciate all of that. And that's it. Until next Tuesday, happy sewing.